Hello, my name is Kimo Pablo, and I am the director of The Pursuit of Art, and this is my commentary. So, this opening scene was done around October, and it was on an old camera I had. It was like a 2013 camera. I don't particularly know the model. Anyways, so the one filming me is Krishna, who is the actor of Yokai, and I think this is like one of his strongest strongest piece of cinematography. I definitely think he had a stronger cinematography than me, because but essentially what I told him here is I was like, try to go for something that you would see in a picture book with how still the frames can be, because ultimately we were still just a two-man crew. So I was like, try to imagine it as a picture book, and this is Yokai's introduction. Uh, I like this one. I think it's kind of like very comedic. It was very comedic. And you can see how messy Yokai is. To say messy room, messy life. At least,
Hey Yokai, do you want to meet after
And
class
here's
today?
Margot's introduction.
Sure.
There was originally going to be like
Yeah,
um, a like
I'm
half
pretty
screen,
tired here,
so half
so,
of the screen would be Yokai and the
uh,
half of it would be Margot. But the Margot scene came first in filming, and here was my first piece of colored animation for the film.
Where are you at?
As you can see, I was really sloppy at it because I'm mostly a traditional artist and not a digital artist. I have slowly been working on it, but at the time, I did not. And this is how Toru and Yokai meet. And a we actually had a different version done on the camera and not my phone, but it ultimately suffered from so much audio problems, so we decided not to use it because it just sounded so bad. Honestly, Krishna was quite the trooper for this one because it was like always early in the morning doing these scenes, and most importantly, it was in January, so sometimes the temperature can go as low as like 20, and yeah, so yeah, I'm used to really cold temperatures, but Krishna himself not so much. And here's Toru. Toru's outfit was actually something that I just came up with myself
All done.
to make him
This looks
seem
horrible.
almost like needing warmth with his cardigan, and he always wears like darker colors, while Yokai always wears
I
bright yellow
couldn't help but notice
shirts,
seeing you
just to
sketching.
show he's very
Can I
silly.
see it?
Really basic
I'm sorry
color
if I try to introduce
symbolism,
myself.
but I
My
ultimately
name
like
is
it.
Toru. I am a small artist,
So we actually
so
ended up
that
using lapel mics while using the phone.
you may not like it.
But the thing about the lapel mics is that they muted the background noise
So,
so much
is this a
that
rough draft?
it just sounded empty. So we had to,
A rough
I don't know how we
draft?
say we, because
Oh,
like I'm the only one that
well, it's
edited
still
the
really
film.
nice.
Um,
I can
so I
keep track of
basically
all of
had
them.
to
Same,
like
same
find some
day,
free
same time and place.
audio background
Here
audios
you
to
go.
add to this film.
Well, I'll see you around.
His voice, Tori's voice, was something that I did deliberately, and it was just to kind of make him seem a bit more anxious
A
and
rough draft.
slightly a bit more sophisticated than how I normally sound. Though there would be some times where I forget to do the voice and we
Look
had
at
to
you.
be recorded. And honestly, I'm shocked. I'm sure Krishna probably got annoyed at it at some point. And here's another reason why we had to replace the
dude, where are you
camera.
at?
And
Cause
it's
I'm,
just
I'm in
because like
Fort
since it
College
was
Station.
like
I
really
can't just go to
old,
the park,
it was
like,
like a
for no
really old
reason.
camera that the entire family used.
But,
That
oh
allows me
yeah, and,
side
like,
to have
some weird-ass
lens
dude, what
damage
was his name?
or
Burrow or
dead
something? I
pixels.
don't know. He just randomly approached me and wanted to see my art.
Actually, Toru had a much different name originally,
Oh my gosh,
because
I
Toru
totally
was
forgot
originally
about
going to be
that.
a
I'm so
much,
sorry.
much older
You
character.
want to tell me more about the
So he had like a
werewolf?
much more old sounding name.
Yeah, he
But
was
no one
very
could
short.
pronounce
Yeah,
it,
long
not
hair.
even me.
And was wearing some weird
So
sweater.
I ultimately
Some
decided
sort.
to age down Toru and give him a cool name,
Yeah.
Toru.
Dude, he's pretty well known for being a small artist.
And it's like,
I wish I was there.
I decided to call him, I
Well,
decided to call him
maybe you
Toru
should have
because of
came.
the
Then you would
whole
have been able to see it.
Guillermo del Toro. So
Yeah.
that's all. And
But
Yokai
yeah,
was
I'm gonna
named by
go now. So,
Krishna.
see ya.
Because I'll be honest, I suck at naming characters. So, yeah, just decided to let them come up with some name. Margot was named after a singer. I can't pronounce the last name though. How sad. So, that dollhouse, this is supposed to symbolize that Toru comes from a broken family, which I kind of decided to leave a bit more ambiguous in the film, just so that people can have their own little interpretation of it. But no, Toru comes from a broken family, which is why he seems so closed off. So filming these solo scenes, they were pretty tough because there would be multiple times where I'm out of frame and I would have to re-record it. And here we get to hear him play Snowbird, which Snowbird is a song about like loneliness and heartbreak. So having him kind of play it feels like it makes sense to people that know the lyrics of that song. And it's kind of just supposed to show the contrast between how he acts at home versus how he is uh with someone that he can talk about art with.
Yeah.
This scene.
Where my canvas?
So this is actually based off of a true story. So when I was getting back into art and most importantly painting, I didn't have a canvas.
Yeah, that didn't work.
So I looked at this Mario Kart painting, and I decided to just like that could work.
Alright, paint.
It did not work. So I'm just gonna point this out. There was only one scene where Krishna actually paints, and that was not one of them. I think he was trying to make Patrick right here. I'm pretty sure he was trying to make Patrick.
What do you think this paint?
Yeah, so I actually, when I really didn't like that painting that I created.
At least I got something done.
No, this
Hopefully
one
Thor likes
actually.
this.
I didn't like this one. Cause like it was like the first time painting like a wave for me,
Oh, time for bed.
so it was really difficult
Alexa, turn off
to
the lights.
paint it.
Alexa.
I definitely should have done more research on it. But what can you do now?
Yay.
I always find that funny. And here's me getting better at animation, quote unquote. So this scene kind of hurts, cause like this was so supposed to be them meeting up again.
My art can't
But
be that good.
no matter
like
how
him
much
so
I
much.
tried to block
decided
out the
to
wind,
sneak up on them and tell them.
it kept
Could
getting
ruin it for
ruined,
Lord.
and we just couldn't do
I
it.
scared them though.
So it ultimately sounded
So I
really bad.
gave a little apology.
And no matter what I did to clean up the
He didn't
audio,
actually
it
remember me.
just wasn't
He
working.
just talked about how his
And I
favorite
didn't
dog
want to resort to
talked a
narration,
lot about me.
but I had to do it. It's either
And he wanted to know
cut
what
the
kind of
scene,
oath do I
which is
make?
supposed to be important, or find a
I
way
really
to
didn't
work
want to
around it.
answer him, but he kept asking me.
Ultimately, I decided that you know what, let's just bite the
Eventually,
bullet.
yeah,
And
I told him
even though
that.
I think I think the scene was really
He seemed
funny,
so shocked that it took me so long to
it hurts you narrate over it. But you know, maybe I can add some
But
more
I brushed him aside
context
and decided
into
to
these
talk
two
about
dynamic.
ways he could add more to his painting.
Okay, I've been avoiding
So I
bringing
figured
this
out
up,
over my years.
but I've definitely heard a lot of people say that the relationship between
Then
Toru and Yokai
soon
seems romantic. And to that, I'm just gonna point out, no, that is not the intention. And I'm just gonna, I think I know why the relationship seems so romantic. And it's ultimately just the fact that growing up, and especially when I talk about art with people, it's
Why?
always been
I
with
just want to
like
see it.
Oh,
girls.
let me
Or
show you.
so ultimately growing up, it's my relationships, specifically like
I've seen yours.
friendship
You have a
wise,
good
have always been
file.
more feminine.
Sure I have. I painted last week.
Hmm.
Cause like when me
Sure.
and
Yeah.
Krishna hang out,
You
we
have
don't
old
talk
art?
about
Yeah, of course I
art.
do.
He's not really
Should
much
have
of
been
an
here.
artist compared to me.
Let me just show you.
But like with all my
You
other,
remember?
friends, though girls, so I'm able to talk about art with them. Not so much with
And
males.
before I knew it, it became routine.
So
Every other
yeah,
week, we would show each
so
other
I kind of
artworks.
wrote Toru and
I would talk
Yokai's
about his art.
friendship as a bit more
He
feminine.
had so much and became so much.
So
Show it all in one
it just
sitting.
kind of came across as
So,
romantic when it's
we
with two
decided that
dudes.
we'll just meet at a bridge. It was closer
I definitely find
and
it
wider.
funny.
And
Because I
for the
kind of
first
knew it would
time in a
happen.
long time,
I kind
I
of
had
knew it would
someone to
happen
talk
because I'm
about
having
art.
two male best friends. And the internet just likes to do that. And so do people too. Oh man, this montage. This is actually the first time doing that. In fact, uh, so I had no idea what the hell I was doing, but I was just like, "I- I'll do my best. And, actually, this is the largest project I have ever edited because I'm not one to really edit, I'm more so to do the writing and directing. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to get someone to edit the film for me. So I was like, alright, I guess I'm just gonna do it myself because I can either spend time finding someone to edit the movie for me, or I could just do it myself.
We gotta put an I in between the N and the S.
It's funny because he actually wanted to get rid of that scene, which, to be honest, I kind of understand. It's a bit childish, and especially when contrasted with the scene. When me and Krishna were first test watching this, it was like, is that you or is that Nunta? For those who don't know, Nunta is the actress of Margot, and I was like, I'm just built differently. This is based on a true story, right here. Okay, I feel like I think anyone could relate to this. Just like the whole, just being awake, staring at the ceiling. Cause I feel like we've all done it. So, not being too deep here. And another shot at the broken house. I like this little effect. Very simple, but I don't know. With how still the camera can be, we did need a few ways to spice it up. Now this painting, oh my god. This was like one of the first times I painted mountains. So I had like absolutely no idea what the hell I was doing. So I was like, what to do? I was trying to paint Aurora Borealis. The final painting really doesn't have that, but you know what? Whatever. So one thing is that since this wasn't really my room, it was my sister's room. I think that's very obvious.
Well, at least I finally finished this piece.
And ultimately, yeah,
Took a
I'm not
while.
gonna lie. One thing about this film
Everyone finished
that
it.
I'm not the biggest fan of is just how limited it was.
Hopefully, Yokai likes it.
Because I made a bunch of projects with a bunch of limitations. But out of
And
all the projects,
why now?
this one
I've shown everyone
suffers
my
the
work.
most from its limitations. And as like that's like, it's times like this when I think about like how
I hope he likes
the
it.
Little Planet adaptation would have turned
I
out.
mean, I did two
Um, I did two
But
paintings.
at the same
I did.
time, I do like
What?
the fact
I
that
did a good job
this
today,
was my first live action film.
and I'll work on that
It's a mixed feeling
all
because
day tomorrow.
limitations
Yeah.
can sometimes create more
Why is that
imagination,
project so difficult?
but at the same time,
So
too
yeah,
much
I did good work.
limitation can just really throw a project off rails.
I mean,
But I
you know,
think
I started
for
working
what
on
we were
that
doing,
painting, and
I'm
I finished that one
I'm
painting.
content
So
with it.
this project is longer. Yeah, that's nice. Anyone you can catch.
Toru, man. Toru
Yeah,
was
I'll
actually
work on
going
it
to be
tomorrow.
the antagonist of the
Where's the
film
moon
in the
going?
very early draft. So I feel like I kind of carried over some of Toru's more unlikable traits. Because even when he was an older version of himself, he was a lot more brooding. And I love this animation. Hmm. Very simple, very simple. Honestly, I think my favorite scenes are definitely the ones with Yokai. Yokai is probably the most silly character I've written, and in many ways, it only has to do with the fact that Krishna is shockingly a very talented actor.
Hey, Yoga,
What?
where have you been? You haven't responded back to
But
me or your
originally,
other
the character of
friends.
Chilling and
Yokai
like
was going to
doing
be
things or I don't
the
know.
character that goes to the Orc
At least your
compared to
painting looks
Toru.
good.
So Toru was going to be an
Maybe
antagonist,
let's
and
keep
Yokai
it.
was going to be the one that discovers his own art. But since I
What you
didn't know
think?
how Krishna would react
Is it
to
worth it?
emotional scenes, I decided that I would just, give the emotional scenes to Toru instead and have Yokai go to his own arc. So ultimately, we decided to switch the location to a bridge. The bridge in the original script had so much more meaning compared to its final draft. In many ways, the final draft. It's interesting just how much the story changed, considering how much I had planned out. But at the same time, there was some stuff that I found out about myself. There was stuff that I found out about the characters that
Was that
only was
Hello.
possible because of
So
how
you actually remember the
much
place.
the story changed.
only bridge around here?
Oh, let me see what you have.
That is definitely my favorite painting right there.
Very neat.
Honestly, I think it's like the
Like it?
best one
Yeah.
that I
I also
created.
got a surprise for you. I finally finished one of my own pieces.
People love that painting,
Whoa. You actually
the
can make
black and white
paintings.
one. I myself had some mixed
Oh,
feelings
come
of it.
on now. I am an artist.
Yeah. How long did it take you?
About 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah. How about
So
yours?
while like writing the original
Honestly,
script,
I can't tell you.
I was like thinking about
Yeah, I've just lost
some
track of
things that
time,
I struggled
honestly.
with as an
I've actually
artist.
been outside until
So
today.
there was going to be like main challenges per se
Is this just me or do you
for
also do
artists.
that?
So one of them was going to
No, I do
be
not.
rediscovering
Hmm.
one's art,
Is it worth it?
loneliness,
What is?
envy,
Being
and
closed off in
you
the
know.
pursuit of art.
Oh my God, he said it.
Oh.
Okay, yes, I did.
I think it's worth it. You know, sometimes
I
all you
did write
need
that in
is
just so I could
yourself
say the
and
pursuit
your
of
art.
art. Because I love when movies do that. It's so cheesy but so funny.
Oh, here you
Thanks.
Also,
go. Hey,
man,
you wanna
you
talk
guys would
like
not know this,
person
but like
with that
that
bar?
bridge is
Looks
really
shiny.
Yeah, you can
narrow.
sell some of your art.
So we had to do so
Hmm.
much.
I guess I better start making some more art.
We had to do a
I guess
lot
you
of
should.
positioning just to
Alright, well,
actually get the camera to fit.
that sounds good.
I mean, the phone.
I gotta go, so, just, text me the, location and all that.
I will. Will,
Alright. Yep.
will do.
Bye. Well, see ya.
So, honestly, I love the scenes with Toru and Yokai, and I think they're like the funnest part of the movie. But ultimately, uh, I think they could definitely could have been better executed, but again, you know, me and Krishna were really busy at the time. So there's one question that Krishna always asks me, and that is why does Toru punch a tree? And part of the reason why he does is because Toru is frustrated that he really
Yokai,
can't
over
open
here.
up to
Here.
anyone.
Have a cup. Get you ready for a long day.
Ooh,
This is
coffee.
definitely my favorite scene,
Ugh. Why is it so bitter?
and it
Was
was
there no sugar in it?
up to this
There's no
point, it
sugar,
was the
Yokai.
longest piece of
Anyways,
animation I've
let's
created,
get some-
hand drawn.
Well, I can see
And
why
here we
you
get to
wanted me
see
know.
all the
This is
paintings
boring.
created for the
Hey,
movies.
can I read your book? I've never read it before.
I prefer you
And
don't.
oh my god, this
Oh,
background.
come on. Why not? Please?
I love that.
I don't even
Creating
like
this
that book.
background was really annoying because no
let's
matter how
forget
many
that
coats of paint I put over it, the
So
brown
what now?
did not blend well.
We
And it
wait.
just got me so annoyed.
Yay! I love waiting. Oh, I brought my sketchbook. You want to draw something?
All right then.
Let's
I
see
love
who
this
could draw
scene.
a better self-portrait. Now let's draw that cup.
Hey.
Oh my.
Oh, my bad. Hello.
I decided to make the rest of the scene
You
Little
know,
Planet
this book really helped me through
just
tough times.
because I thought it was.
Really?
I thought it'd be a nice
Here you
little
go.
callback
Thank you
to
so
its
much.
original roots.
See, she likes it. Why don't you?
And
Because it was never meant to exist.
yeah,
I
honestly,
needed to make a deadline, so I rushed
it's
it.
kind of wild to
And now it
see
happens
how
to be
much
my
this
most
project has
well-known
grown
book.
from its original Little
Let's
Planet
move on.
adaptation.
We have to finish this job.
How much for this one?
That one is 50.
I think I'll go with this one.
Oh, really?
He did such a good
There you
job
go.
for an NPC,
Well, look
unlike
at that.
my
You
sister.
sold your first piece.
Hell yeah.
But it was the only
Did you
voice
make
actors I
selling
had
one?
available at the time.
Who knows?
Just seeing them.
Okay, that's
That's
a wrap.
funny.
Wait. Where's Margot at?
Yo, Yokai, I told you I can make it.
I actually had to
There
create a little.
Oh, it's you. Thank you
So
for
one
saying
thing
hello,
is
Yokai.
that with Little Planet, it changes the aspect
Is that what you
ratio
call it?
when you do
Almost
a
forgot. Where's
camera
yours?
movement.
Margot, you're
So I
too, like,
had to
nice
find a
and
way
even
to.
before he did.
I had to find a way
Well then,
to make sure the
how
aspect
about a
ratios
reward?
stays the same.
Some drinks.
So
I'll
I
send the
created a
location.
dynamic camera system that prevents it.
Who would've
Oh
thought
my
the
god,
bar was
this
busy
scene
today?
looked so
Yeah, well,
ugly
it is a
before
Saturday
I
night, so
went in there and
you know.
color
Yeah, I couldn't
corrected
even
it,
get a seat in there.
and it's like,
It'll be alright.
yeah. I mean, it was. This was also another thing that frustrated me while editing this film. Color
I sold out all
color
my albums.
correcting
Good
was
business,
so
isn't
annoying,
Sure is.
honestly.
It sure is.
But I think it paid off in the end because this scene looked really, really ugly beforehand.
That book signing was pretty tiring.
Sure was.
So
At least I
this
saw a
scene was
decent
also kind of really
amount.
annoying to
I
film
mean, not all of it, but
'cause,
a decent amount.
you know, we would have to constantly
That's
go
not
back
all mine.
for the camera.
I never knew how effective artists.
So it'd be like, all right, done. One of us would
Maybe
run to
one
the
day,
camera, pick it
All these
back up.
buildings could be like an art gallery. Just dedicated to me. Like, that building over there, that rainbow looks like a cool light. Yeah. That could be mine.
Because it's
Honestly, I
pretty
think Krishna's like just the perfect cast
know,
for your
I
guy.
really believe I can become famous.
He's just so.
you know, that's how the things we inspired
He's
to
just. I don't know. He brings a genuine
That's
to the
true, but
character.
I
No,
can
I
do too
just.
much.
I just love. And in terms of how I feel about my acting, I absolutely hate
Well,
it.
I'm still working on the writing.
I definitely didn't like. I definitely didn't want to act in this film,
but you know, you can't
but
rush into these things.
it's not like I didn't get anyone else to do it. So you know, I
Then
just had
you
to.
believe in yourself?
Yeah, you know, my circumstance were a bit different.
Yeah, man.
How so?
I don't like to talk about that.
So basically, he just doesn't want to open up to anyone,
You can say so.
and that's ultimately something that the Toru shows with that I really wanted to make sure to present, and that is the fact that Toru just struggles to open up to
Still,
people about
your
his art.
friend Margot seems really interested to see your paintings.
Yeah, well, she should have shown out earlier. She always does this, though. It's always late. Or sometimes she doesn't even show up.
Yeah, so this is actually kind of based off of like real events. I'm not gonna lie. That was when I planned stuff out with
Yeah,
my
it's getting pretty
friends.
late. We should probably
They
start heading
sometimes
home
just
soon.
would never show
Yeah.
up, and
idea.
you know it's just, after a while it starts to become really demoralizing. But you kind of just learn to keep your head up, let
Whoa,
them
what's that?
just let them know, and then eventually you guys will hash things
Alright.
out and plan for another day. So one funny thing was, is the city walk scene was only there because we had a ball scene, but it looked so bad and flowed so bad that we ultimately replaced it with a city walk. But this was what came afterwards, so it was supposed to be a hung over yokai. And I remember like when we first the first test watches that watched this film, they're like, "Why is he on the floor?" And like, I guess he
This
was
piece
just
here
really tired.
that I created was inspired by a fellow artist named Toro. Does this interest you at all?
And I'm not gonna lie though, when I was watching this film over and over again, I always groaned at just seeing myself act. Jin.
Why can't I quit?
I
Um,
like
another
I don't know
one.
how other people feel about the
So
torso
why can't I
scenes.
quit this one?
I from what I've heard,
What
a lot
did
of people,
feel at the time?
you know, so a lot of people whenever I heard about the solo tour scenes, you know, I think a lot of them I just got like a bit more hold back.
Why don't I make another one? Since that day, my
But like yeah, Toru does carry over some of his
I know it's wrong.
previous unlikable traits from his antagonist era. And I'm not gonna lie, Toru is maybe it's because I'm acting, maybe it's because I'm acting Toru, so I find a lot of what Toru does unlikable. Cause like
No,
instead of talking things
I'm not
out
going back
with
to that.
instead of talking
Like
things out,
move
he just
past
kind of
it.
mopes around.
Oh, maybe I just.
Of
need
course,
to
it's called an oak. He's supposed to kind of be flawed.
6 a.m.
Also, one thing I mainly discovered is, boy, I have a really monotone voice. I mean, I knew I had a really monotone voice, but
I finally finished.
I thought
It
maybe
was
if I
good.
could really just add more inflection,
I
it would
hope
help.
you
But
guys
no matter what I did,
read it.
I just couldn't get my monotone to go away. So this scene almost made me want to quit actually, because like one, even just getting, it was only difficult getting uh Margot in the scene because of how busy she is. She's
Oh,
a nurse.
I'm sorry.
But
You're welcome. You're kind.
I mean Nunta. So it was only difficult getting Nunta in the scene, let alone find the time to get Krishna in the scene. So having these two,
Well,
you know,
he could be
in the
working on
scene
adult. That
was
requires
just
time
so
alone.
difficult to plan out, which is why, which is why instead of it being filmed in
Well, that can't be true.
late winter, it was filmed in early spring, and so I had to color grade this damn scene to look like it's still fall, and it was absolutely annoying for someone like me who has never done anything like this before.
Alright, I'll show you. Follow me.
And yeah, dude, I just had a big headache just finding ways to make it look like it's fall. And as you can
Hi
see,
Margot. How
and
are you? It's
even
been a
then,
minute.
the effect
You got any
wasn't
plans
the
later?
best because again, I was the only one freaking doing this. I was the only one
Because he knows
editing
getting
the
a good
film,
hour.
color
Now what's the
grading the
feedback?
film, color correcting
Now
the
more
film.
than ever, I
It was
believe I
just
can
such
do
a
it.
annoying.
Yokai, I know how you feel, but
And
you can't forget about your friends.
I hope Sunday never do it again.
Hey, look what I drew.
Wait, but never mind.
So in the original storyboards, this scene was a lot more dramatic.
It's all good.
And same with this one. Basically, the scene was supposed to show. Oh wait. This is. So this was the first time Krishna actually ever paints in this film, and as you can see, he is definitely not the artist of the film. So one interesting thing was that each character was kind of given a theme to represent them, or at least the two main ones. So for Yokai, that theme was Heaven from Persona 3, and for Toru, his theme was Ribs by Lord. And it's just ultimately, I feel like it really just suit each character. So I'm not gonna lie, I feel like in terms of like actual characters, I think Margot sadly gets the short end of the stick. And it ultimately comes down for the fact that I didn't know just how much availability Noonta was gonna be. So it kind of led to her kind of getting shafted. But for a while, Noonta was a bit more rateable than Krishna. And it kind of got me sad because I was like, man, I could have added more to this, more to her character, and made Margot a much more depthful character. But unfortunately, we were so late into the script that we just, there was being no time to add on to her character. I hope someday, well, if Ninta's ever interested, I hope someday maybe I can give her a stronger role or a stronger character. Because I definitely liked working with her. She she was someone who was very morale boosting, Compared to Krishna, it's always like a lot of Krishna would say some stuff like, "Oh, I don't think this film's gonna turn out good," you know. Meanwhile, Ninta, she was very very positive.
Hey, can you reach
She's like, I think this film's gonna turn out good.
Oh, of course. Now you have come to respect my opinion.
So yeah, I definitely wish
I can't see
definitely
anything
wish I was
anymore.
able to work with Ninta a lot
It's
more
been a minute since I've
on
seen
her
that.
character.
Oh, okay. Well,
But who knows? Maybe someday. Maybe someday she'll appear in a little cameo again. I shall ask her. Ah, yeah, the scene. I think this scene was probably my strongest piece of cinematography. Because I'm not gonna lie, I think I think compared to whenever Krishna does it, I think I was
well,
having
it
the
is
weak link
nice.
in that.
However, it could use some tweaks here and
So yeah, I definitely
Is it
believe that Krishna
not
is
good
better
enough?
at me when it comes to
Even
like
though Toro
visuals.
liked it,
But I
I
think
still
this one
haven't
was
done
a
yet. I
very
still
neat
gotta go
one.
through it again
Very
to
neat
double
time.
check my
One of
work.
the few
whoa there.
shining
That's not
examples
what I
of
was
my
getting at.
cinematography.
Yokai, it's a rough draft for a reason.
That
To be a
wasn't
re-
the rough draft.
uh,
Yeah, I gotta go actually.
wait a minute.
Yeah. That's...
What does Margot know about art?
So in the storyboards,
You know,
Yokai is furious,
maybe it's
but
personal.
but
People like
obviously
he's an
Krishna
artist.
himself is a lot more. He's also kind of like me, a lot more monotone. So instead of him being mad, it was just seems more upset actually. Yeah. Poor Yokai. Yeah. And here we get to see more Toru. At one point, I actually don't know who has more screen time compared to those two. I'm pretty sure it's Toru, but Yokai definitely has. At one point in time, uh, Yokai had more scenes than Toru. So I was like, when did this become Krishna the movie? It was so funny though. I think a Christian movie would probably be more interesting. No. So let's see. He's thinking. My boy thinks. So one funny thing about this scene is it reveals just how terrible my handwriting is. But ultimately, it actually does show a little bit of my uh, creative process in the fact that I was primarily someone who storyboard. So storyboards came first, and then script, and so it would be storyboard, script, and while writing the script, there will also be time for revisions. I actually produce a tear right here. I use teardrops. Yeah. So there was like another thing with Toru in the original draft. Toru absolutely hated his ult, and I mean like hated, because the original reason
I
why
can't write
Toru
about
was an
myself again.
antagonist was the fact that Toru
No
just
one
hated
cared.
everything he did. He hated his ult, and he hated the fact that Yokai
I
was
know.
able to like his own ult.
I made a decent amount of work too.
Ultimately, I
it's in
kind of
trash.
switched it to him.
Well,
He
it's
still
not
kind of
long.
hates his ult from the movie. Like I feel like someone can look at him and say he hates his ult, but I think more people seem to see it too as someone just a lot more lonesome. So yeah, that's ultimately the main thing I
What
heard.
Margot know about art? I'm gonna get an opinion on the real artist. Wait, I am the real artist. So why would I need an opinion from my artist?
I mean, he actually ad-libbed that, and I thought it was very nice. So I just keep it. So another piece of Krishna cinematography right here. He decides to flex on me, flex his skill on me. But no, I definitely love his cinematography. Honestly, there would be actually while filming, there would be times when Krishna he would tell me he'd be like, "Can I just be the cameraman and have someone else play yokai?" I'm like, "Oh man, you know, I can't really do that because I kind of wrote the character with the mindset that you'll be playing him."
We meet again.
Yes, we do.
I need your opinion.
So yeah.
I like them.
A part of me wants to say that, and a part of the reason why Yokai is such a. Honestly, Yokai is really the best character of this film. And a part of me is saying that it's because, like, the way I wrote him. But a large
I'm
portion of it
sorry,
just has to
okay.
do with the fact that.
I
Just
think you
has to
need
do
to
with the
work
fact
on it
that
a bit
Krishna's
more.
just shockingly a very good
What do you
actor.
mean?
He was actually
What's
kind of
wrong with it?
insecure about his acting for the longest
It's
time.
a bit unfocused. Kind of rough around the edges.
Rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Well, give it to me straight.
It's sloppy.
It's kind of like this movie. Okay.
Yokai. Look, I just think you need more time with this boy.
What's
I
wrong with it?
definitely could say that I have a lot of. One thing that I kind of came
It's
to this realization is I have a lot of twitches in the fact that
just that.
I tend to like have like a lot of
Oh.
motor twitches with my eyebrows, and I had like
I don't
no
think
matter
it's
what I did, I
bad. I
had
mean, it's
this
not perfect, right? I
uncontrollable
mean,
grin.
Yokai. Yokai. Rough drafts, they exist for a reason. No one's always perfect.
Also,
Well,
part of the reason why I added these little flashbacks
my art's as good as
is
yours.
because
Yours isn't
without
hard
it, I
either.
felt like Toru was just so
Hey,
mean and
be honest
uncalled
with me.
for.
Are you happy with your art? Is your art perfect for you?
Whoa, you're asking me that.
Your
But
guys sound so
let's talk
hurt
about
though.
your art.
You know,
Like,
I.
remember that book that you read?
Yeah,
You didn't
man.
even want to. You didn't even want to show me it. Or,
Okay then, I can play that card too.
Yeah,
Then
cause
your art
like
was a mistake, huh?
Toru, I mean,
Your
my
art was a
art was
mistake.
granted
Yeah,
the scene
no
was
one cares
gonna,
about your art. Your art
granted
was a
the scene was
mistake.
always going to play out, but
Huh?
Toru
Is that how
just
you
seems
feel?
so
If you're gonna
mean in
compare
this
if you're
scene.
gonna compare your art to my art, then you might as well be saying the art.
you know what? What if I just don't do art?
Yo, Kai, I'm
No,
sorry.
no, you said too much.
So I always hate to
Yo,
fall into
Kai.
tropes, but it just felt so natural, you know, with the whole characters splitting up before reunited. I hate the fact that I fell into that trope, but it just feels so natural sometimes. I can clearly get why so many writers fall
Why
into
did I
it.
say that? Why?
Also, I messed up my freaking uniform. I'm always supposed to wear dress shoes, but it was so muddy outside that I was like, oh, let's just not film my feet and we'll be all good. So yeah, that didn't go to plan. I love these little gust of winds. As I feel like they really, I don't know. There was like this hollowness that comes from them, and I just always like adding them when it's appropriate. It just makes you feel empty. At least that's how I'm trying to portray it with those gust of winds. And he punches trees one more time. Yeah. uh, oh wait, top 10 times actors won't acting. He was so tired during this scene, actually. So, Krishna was so tired during this scene that I actually gave him a cup of coffee just to keep him going. But no, he was like really excited. It looked like he could fall asleep at any time. Tell me why you did it. Ever dream falling apart? Yeah, this song is so good. Thank you, Akatiko Bass. He's the one that did the cover for his own channel, not for the movie. He actually almost fell asleep right here. That's how tired he was.
Hey, how's your art going?
I don't do it no more.
Wait, why? I love your art.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so man, yeah. We actually had a cutscene, where he kind of like yells at Morgo. But I was like, that doesn't really seem natural. So we just did another scene. I think this was the last scene ever recorded with the original camera before we replaced it with a phone. And ultimately, I think it was probably for the best that we used my phone. Just because it was simpler for me and Krishna to record compared to having to carry a really bulky camera. Because at the end of the day, we still were just a two-man operation.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Stories are really good.
no, this is definitely my favorite animation piece. This is definitely my favorite piece of animation that I did for the film. And I just always made it's really show, you know, why Yokai seems a bit more insecure about his role. Here's another moment actors weren't acting. I guess I should probably wait for that scene though. So this is totally gonna be totally not. So this is totally something that I did that was very unhealthy of me. But there would be multiple times while playing the film, I would just drink coffee after coffee after coffee, and I would drink so much of it that I would just actually become a bit nauseous. So I gotta wrote down into the character. Okay, there's a time I wasn't acting right here. So, so I decided that I didn't want to drink more coffee that day because I only had like 4 cups. So I decided that you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna use instant decaf coffee. The thing is, I really don't use instant coffee, so I didn't fully know its ratio. So I ended up putting way too much decaf, and it tasted really disgusting. But I mean, I had to use it. It's just wasteful. And yeah, that coffee was really disgusting. Why do I still even have this? Not like I'm gonna finish it. Yes. So. Hard to believe they would care. So here's this little funny piece. So I was supposed to knock this house over, but I didn't want to knock it too much as to create a mess. But I ended up, just having a bunch of weak shots until I eventually was able to land a good hit. Mm. Total man, you just gotta open up to people, talk about your feelings. Yeah. That was this funny piece. Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed this little sidewalk I did. Um, it's kind of funny, but I didn't want to record my butt. I know no one's going to be looking at it, but I am. So I kind of like avoided recording any, like my butt. This is kind of funny. I really wish I could go more in depth with the history of making this film, but I'm just gonna let you guys in on this piece. My my family was not a big fan of me creating a movie. I just put that lightly. They really wanted me to quit, and it hurt. It hurt. And ultimately, it hurt so much that at one point in time, it was the only thing I could think of, and I ultimately just wrote it. I ultimately just wrote that scene just to kind of let out a little bit of my frustration, because
Excuse me?
I just wanted
Hey,
them
I've
to
been
see
trying to
my
catch
art.
you here
You
for a
know,
while now.
I don't know why they
Is
had
that
to
stalking?
hate on
No,
it so
I came here to
much,
see you.
but
What if this is all your
I'm
fault?
still not ready to really
I'm sorry,
process
but
that,
I
so
really
I
can't
won't
help
go
it.
too much into
You
that with it.
better off without me.
You've been here alone.
This
haven't you?
scene, oh my god.
Excuse me?
Your art
It
can't die.
is
I think you're looking
so
too deep into it.
unbearably
Is it a
hot
stupid
in
piece
this
of art
outfit
meant to be thrown away?
because
They moved me.
it
There's
is
nowhere to
like
start
80
until I finish
degrees
my thing.
outside
So
and
as
I
I
am
see
dressed
it,
like
it was
this.
just me wearing my pain on my sleeve. Ruined the book because I'm weak.
But it's what made you strong. You show your art to people, even if they show your pain. Doesn't matter if it was perfect or not.
Is it actually?
Shout out to that guy just
It's
casually
okay. You've
standing in
been
the
all alone
pond.
for how long?
Since the day I left?
And so, yeah, so there's a piece of me that I hated the idea of writing about myself so much. Because to me, I felt like such an unlikable person that it just felt like writing about myself would ruin the film. But as I started to let my guard down around my own art, I was able to find new meaning in everything. You know, I may not be a likable person to myself, but at least I can create something with it. So that tells me, like, you know, why that scene is like the way it is. Also, I have an alternate soundtrack of like these songs that are playing in my head while filming it, but this was not one of them. It was Fine on the Outside from When Marnie Was There. I love that film, but it would get my channel copyrighted, so I decided not to do that. But ultimately, you know, I don't know why it took me so long to just accept the fact that people write from their own experience, and it's not wrong to use that, you know. And yeah, it's just like when I was finally able to write about it, it, you know, it just felt
I'll be
so
back. I think there's
relieving.
something for you.
Alright.
Here, you think this book is of
My
hard to
only
know. Your
my
art
only
seems really
gripe
open and
is
free.
that Toru does feel
Good to see you again,
a bit
Smoker.
too similar to me,
Is that my book?
which I'm not a big fan of self-inserts. You know, they're
How is
definitely
wrong
my
for
least
you,
favorite
okay?
type of character.
How is wrong for you to solve
But
my problem?
I can at least say this: at least Toru
I know
isn't
that you're not
a
here right now,
self-insert where he's like
but no
so
matter what, I still consider
super
you my
famous,
closest
and
friend.
a
Hold
perfect
on.
character. No, Toru is a really
Here you go.
Toru is a really flawed character
Well, it doesn't happen
and
overnight,
slightly
you know.
unlikable.
It takes time. Well, that's all I need to say to you.
That is a
Could
that
you,
is a that's a
say a
piece I
little
once wrote
longer?
Yeah.
for
Thank you.
like a different
So you are
project
now?
called The Gangsters, and
Trust me.
it's a flawed mess, but its ending scene, particularly the ending scene that has a letter, is one of my favorite things I've ever written. Just because it's so genuine. Granted, the person I wrote the letter for really doesn't deserve it. But honestly, yeah, it took time, and ultimately that's a lot of things I've discovered while writing this film. Is that some stuff takes time. It took time to really, maybe not so much love my art, but not hating my art. You know, that took time. It took time. Writing about my experiences, and so that's ultimately what this last scene is. It's just him fixing himself up with the troubled home life he's had. And honestly, I think this scene is definitely like a lot.
I found out.
It's definitely a lot better than the
Okay.
storyboard, but I do
found
like
out
this interpretation of it.
takes time. Things kind of fell apart in the end. But more than anything, I can try.
Yeah. So that was something that I always told myself is that, no matter what, no matter how difficult this film was, or how monumental the task felt,
What are you doing? I mean, it's a
I
fire.
can try at least.
And
You
never
know,
met at the park in the first place. You could ditch me again.
because so many
Promise I'll show
people
up.
were telling me that I couldn't do it. There was a lot of just like, you can't do it, you can't do it. But for me, it was always just like,
You actually showed up.
I can try.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I could
have
try.
to get back to you real fast.
What do you mean?
Well, about the time that I didn't show up and I first came.
And it was,
Remember, I didn't come to your first art
Oh,
show.
well, I haven't really been the best myself. But
yeah, I wish I could someday be able to get more into that
Well, actually,
part of the film
you are a good
and how much my personal life affected the film. But again, not really ready to dive deep into that.
So do I.
But
once again,
it was like
you said no one
such
ever
an
cared
amazing
about
thing
art.
to see, these two people that I grew up with actually
I want
agreed to star in this film
the original draft of my book.
when it could have been so easy for them to say, nah, I'm not feeling
This
it,
is really bad.
Yeah, it was really bad.
And even though
Even the finished
filming
product
for this film was tough,
wasn't that good.
and even
I'm sorry
though
I kept shouting.
even sometimes they felt like the
Made it
task was
seem like
so
this book had to be nothing less than
monumental,
I just didn't want to be alone again.
we stuck it out to we stuck it out,
Someone
and
once
we
told
finished
me
our movie.
that it takes time.
And that's something that,
Because it's
even at the movie,
takes the
even
strain
in my
of the
opinion,
world.
this movie is really flawed.
Okay.
A really flawed movie.
So I saw you too.
You wanna
And
pitch Margot.
What?
at the moment,
No, why
in
not?
my opinion, it's kind of a bad movie.
It's ridiculous.
But no one can take away from the fact that
You two really have
I did it,
to draw
and
off of.
we put so much into this film.
Hey, okay. I'm going on an artistic retreat. You wanna come along with me?
Sounds interesting.
And yeah,
Yeah, right. I was sending you my spot.
this film is flawed, but no one can take away from the fact that this movie tried.
So how's that book of
It
yours coming
tried.
along?
Well, I think I now know what to write about. I thought it was lazy to write about yourself, but it's what you do with it that really matters. It is what you do with yourself. If you're happy, write about it. Or if you're in pain, let it heal you. And this is just me kind of reaffirming what I've learned over the course of an entire year while writing this film. I was just so I was just so against the whole idea about writing about myself that when I finally was able to open up to my art, I just felt like the product became richer because it's me, It's me putting my vulnerability out there. Even if it made me slightly uncomfortable to do so.
For a bit.
It's fun. Yeah, so that scene. That was just really funny.
So I guess
I didn't realize that this was a church, and so I actually ended up T-posing in front of it, and I'm like, this is a church. It seems a bit tone deaf to T-pose
What the hell was
in
that
front of a
about?
church. So I just decided to stand
Oh,
normally,
you'll get there someday.
cause like that's just no. That was funny though. T-posing in front of a church. No, don't do it. Don't do it. You look like an ass. Ultimately, this film was not really like plot driven, but more so character driven, and it is really difficult to write that. I'm not gonna lie, it's like really difficult. But from what I've heard a lot of people say that it was good and it has potential. Rough around the edges, flawed, but decent. And yeah, it was a wild time in my life, and it was my first and probably last live action film for the foreseeable future. I've ultimately discovered that live action isn't really my style, but you know what is my style? Character driven stories. I love it. So when I was making this credit scene, yeah, I was told not to. I was told not to add my name to everything, but at the same time, it's also like, come on, man. I did, do a lot of this by myself, and I'm not gonna give myself credit. Bit silly. So I actually came up with this story in like 2021, or was it 2020? No, it was 2020, because the Little Planet adaptation was in 2021. So this is the Gangsters, which is what replaced this film for a while. So the Gangsters ultimately became a product because the Little Planet adaptation didn't go over that well, for me at least. However, it ultimately evolved into the Gangsters remake, which became a whole much more different story. It was quite the wild journey, honestly. I can try. So yeah, which one do I think is better? I think just because honestly, I think it's just gonna take some time. But for now, then I gotta say that the Gangsters is the better story. I do love this ending though. It just feels so natural and conclusive. And it's supposed to show that Toru finally let his guard down. Because if you look right here, you'll see that Yokai is holding Toru's book, which is actually the book we had all the storyboards in. Maybe someday I'll release them to the public, but for now it's in my possession. Yeah. What a ride. Well, I hope all of you enjoyed this commentary.